Harihi Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Mahaperiyava Sharanam. Shri Soundarya Lahari, explanation of verse 24. Jagat Sute Dhata Hariravati Rudrakshapayate Tiras Kurvannetat Swamapi Vapurishas Tirayati Sada Purvas Sarvam Tadida Manugranhati Cha Shivaha Tavajna Malambya Kshana Chalitayor Bhrulatikayoho. Verse 21 of Soundarya Lahari describes Paramananda Sadhanam. Great men who perceive by a mind which is free from sin and illusion, Ambika's aspect as Sadhakya Kala, seated in the great lotus forest, the Sahasrara, which is above the 6 lotuses, the yogic chakras, and the granthis, the knots. Ambikai, who is as slender as a streak of lightning, has the nature of the sun, moon, and fire. These great men who perceive this form of Ambikai enjoy the wave of supreme bliss. Verse 22 describes the greatness of just thinking about worshipping, praying, or praising Ambikai. O Bhavani, bestow on me, who is your slave, your endowed look with compassion. He who desires to praise you thus, saying, may I become you, Bhavani, Tvam, at that moment itself, you whose feet receive the oblation of lights from the bright crowns of Mukunda, Brahma, and Indra, grant the state of perpetual absorption into the deity. Verse 23 describes the Shiva Shakti Aikyam, the union of Shiva and Shakti, Shakti in Shiva and Shiva in Shakti. Having taken over the left half of the body of Shiva, Shambhu, and still with a dissatisfied mind, the other half of the body was also attempted to taken over by you. This doubt question arises in my mind because this form of yours is entirely red. It has 3 eyes, is curved by the bosom, and has a crown crested by the crescent moon. Verse 24 describes how Ambar does all her actions just by a mere slight movement of her eyebrow. Let us look at the Padacheda and then detailed explanation. Jagat Sute Dhata Harihi Avati Rudraha Kshapayate Tiras Kurvan Etat Swayam Api Vapuhu Ishaha Tirayati Sada Purvaha Sarvam Tat Idam Anugrinhati Cha Shivaha Tava Agnyam Alambya Kshana Chalitayoho Bhruhu Latikayoho. Jagat Sute Dhata Harihi Avati Rudraha Kshapayate. Just like in the verse 2 of Soundarya Lahari, Taniyamsam Pamsum Tavacharana Panke Ruhabhavam Virinchi Sanchinvan Virachayati Lokana Vikalam Bahatyenam Shaurihi Kathamapi Sahasrena Shirasam Haras Samshudyainam Bhajati Bhasito Dholana Vidhim. Virinchi, Brahmadeva, gathering the minute dust present in the lotus feet of Ambikai, uses that dust to make or create all the worlds. Shaurihi, Mahavishnu, somehow carries this dust by his 1,000 heads. Mahadeva, Shiva, having powdered this Dodihi, dust, observes the injunction of sprinkling the sacred ash, Bhasma, throughout his body. Verse 24 also describes the 3 actions performed by the Trimurti. Jagat Sute Dhata Harihi Avati Rudraha Kshapayate. Jagat Sute, Jagat the world, Sute begetting or creating. Who creates the world, the universe? Dhata, meaning Brahmadeva. Harihi avati, the protection avati is done by Harihi, Mahavishnuhu. Rudraha kshapayate, nashanam, destruction is done by Rudra. Brahma creates the world, Mahavishnu protects the world created by Brahma, and Rudra destroys the same. Tiraskurvan etat swayam api vapuhu ishaha tirayati. The fourth form or the fourth officer, like Kanchi Mahaperiyava explains in Devathin Kural, he says, Ishaha, the fourth officer, Tiraskurvan, withdrawing, Etat, this, Dhata, Hari and Rudra, Swayam api vapuhu tirayati, Swayam api, even his own body, Vapuhu is body, Tirayati, he obscures. Isha withdraws Dhata, Hari and Rudra into his body and then eventually hides or obscures the same. The creation by Brahmadeva, protection by Mahavishnu, destruction by Rudra, withdrawal by Ishaha, and then Maya, which is obscuring or hiding the Dhata, Hari and Rudra in his own body. The fifth officer, the fifth role is done by Sadashiva. Sada Purvaha Sarvam Tat Idam Anugrinhati Cha Shivaha. Sada Purvaha Shivaha. Shivaha, who has Sada preceded by the word Sada. Shivaha, Sadashiva, who is the passive and in eternal union with Shakti. Sarvam Tat Idam Anugrinhati. He blesses, obliges in all of these, the four, Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra and Isha. Tava Agnyam Alambya Kshana Chalitayoho Bhruhu Latikayoho. At that moment, Ambigai, Ma Shakti, grants an order, gives an order. And how does she do it? Tava Agnyam Alambya, stayed by Ambigai's order. Kshana Chalitayoho, exhibiting momentary movement. Kshana is momentary. Chalitayoho is movement. Movement of two objects. And what are those two objects? Bhruhu Latikayoho, the thin eyebrows. Ambal gives the order not verbally, not through any other action or in written form. She simply moves her beautiful thin eyebrows, giving the order to Sadashiva, who then obliges or brings back all the four into action again. Dhata begets the world. Hari protects it. Rudra destroys it. Isha, withdrawing Dhata, Hari and Rudra, obscures even his own body by withdrawing into Sadashiva. Indeed, Sadashiva, which is Shiva preceded by the word Sada, obliges in all this, takes your order and executes it. The order which is exhibited by the momentary movement of Ambigai's eyebrows. Bhagavati, Brahmadeva creates the universe, Vishnu administers it, and Rudradeva performs the Upasamhara. Tirodhana, or the reversal of the process of evolution, is done by Isha. The chain reaction of Shrishti, Sthiti, Samhara, Tirodhana is continued and gets absorbed into Sadashiva, or the integration of Trigunas. Sadashiva, taking the order of Ambigai, gets the approval to redo the cycle, and Ambigai's approval comes simply by her eyebrow sign, which is a slight movement of her eyebrows. The evolution and the involution of the macrocosm, preparatory to its creation once again, are indicated in this stanza. The world is in a state of evolution through Brahma, discharging his function of creating it, and Vishnu discharging his function of sustaining it. Then commences the involution with the destruction of the world by Rudra, whereupon Ishvara causes the destroyed universe to disappear along with Brahma, Vishnu and Rudra, and he himself disappears. During the process of involution, the lower tattvas merge into the higher tattva, Ishvara, who represents the lower tattva in their collective form and ceases to have an independent existence when the process of involution is complete. There then remains Sadashiva alone, who is the all-witness and absorbs all the tattvas, including Ishvara, in the bija form within himself, and in his passive attitude implies his approval of actions of the lower powers who carry out the work of involution in obedience to the preordained laws of evolution and involution, himself standing changeless and external, preparatory to the creation of the universe once again. At that instance, Devi, who conveys her mandate through the knitting or slight movement of her eyebrows as represented in this stanza. The implication is that Devi is all supreme and the five powers through whom she carries out her mandate are but her agents or officers. Jagat Sute Dhata Harihi Avati Rudraha Kshapayate. Brahma creates the entire universe. Hari protects it while Rudra destroys it. Tiraskurvan etat swayam api vapuhu ishaha tirayati. Withdrawing Dhata, Hari and Rudra, Isha obscures even his own body. Sada purvaha sarvam tat idam anugranhati cha shivaha. Shiva, preceded by the word Sada as Sadashiva, in all this obliges indeed. Tava agnyam alambya kshana chalitayoho bhruhu latikayoho. He gets into the cycle of creating or bringing back Dhata, Hari, Rudra and Isha by Ambigai's order, which is exhibited by the momentary movement of her eyebrows. The corresponding namas from Lalita Sahasranamam: Shrishti Kartri, she who creates; Brahma Rupa, she who is the personification of the creation, the ultimate; Goptri, she who protects; Govinda Rupini, she who is the form of Govinda, Mahavishnu; Samharini, she who destroys; Rudra Rupa, she who is the form of Rudra; Tirodhanakari, she who hides herself from us; Ishwari, she who is the ultimate in this universe, Ishwari; Sadashiva, she who is the form of Sadashiva; Anugrahada, she who blesses; Panchakritya Parayana, she who is engaged in the five duties of creation, existence, dissolving, disappearing and blessing; Jagat Dhatri, she who supports the entire universe. This shloka can be chanted for the management of fear of Bhuta, Preta, Pishasha. Thus concludes the explanation of verse 24 of Sri Soundarya Lahari. Sarvam Krishnarpanamastu. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Mahaperiyava Sharanam. Jai Jai Shankara. Har Har Shankara.